last week we weren't sure our toilets were going to be working. We weren't sure the toilets were going to be working. We had a massive hailstorm, thunder, lightning, flooding, tornado warning, and we had a full house last week.
Wow.
We were all there. So
Wow.
nothing stops it.
Welcome to Grow Healthy, Help People, a podcast that Accordis puts out. Today we're talking with Glen, a new friend, and he is the leader of Mission USA out of Chicago, Illinois. Glen, how's your day going?
It's going great. I'm glad to be with you.
I'm glad to talk to you. So
Yeah.
you're a Houston, Texas guy that went
Yes.
way north up into the Chicagoland area. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Packed up the pickup truck and drove to Chicago.
30 years ago, what was the driver, not literally, but the figurative driver to get you to drive that far north and settle in there for the last few decades?
Well, I started when I was in college in Houston to do volunteer work at a juvenile prison facility.
Okay.
I was just doing like just basic helping out with the chapel service on Sundays, and then they asked me when I graduated if I wanted to be the chaplain there. So I became the chaplain of that facility, and an opportunity opened up to come to Chicago to do the same sort of work, but then to work with them on the outside, to follow up with them on the outside. And the way that they were doing that work and the way I was brought in was you had to kind of facilitate that relationship across that gap of being from the inside to the outside. So the way that worked was you got to know a gang leader on the inside, and then he would introduce you to his boys on the outside, and he would sort of endorse you to those guys. So it became incredibly safe. There's somebody watching my car. There's mom's cooking dinner.
How interesting. So what people
Yeah,
may think is very dangerous, if you know
yeah,
the right people and you're caring for the right people and if you're living the right way and helping folks, it
yeah.
may be the opposite, maybe the safest place ever.
Oh yeah, yeah. I felt very protected, very well protected, and
Yeah,
if you're helping people, they're thankful for that, obviously, and
yeah.
yeah. I never even felt disrespected.
Really. So I don't
Yeah.
know Illinois too well. Tell us about Forest Park. Is that kind of in the middle of Chicago, or where is that?
Forest Park is just due west of Chicago, right outside the city limits there. So we set up our home here so that we could draw different gang members from different gangs into a neutral territory. So where we are is there's not any gang activity. So I could bring guys from two different organizations to my
Yeah.
house, and it would be safe for both of them.
How great. I love
Yeah.
that. So you
Yeah.
moved there 30 years ago. Did you start Mission USA soon after you got there, or what was the
It was a few
process?
years after that. We were all of the work that we were doing when I started was with juveniles, with high school age inmates, and eventually you got to know the higher ups in the organizations, and those guys were adults. So we really just started Mission USA to make that shift, to shift into working with adult people.
Okay. So now Mission USA is, when did you found the organization? And the,
1996. My
yeah,
wife always remembers that stuff, but yeah.
that's great. And so since then, you've been the primary person running Mission USA or one of many, lots of volunteers. Tell us how the organization is set up. Maybe before
Yeah,
that, tell us what Mission USA does, what your mission is, and
right.
then tell us kind of about the team.
Our main thing is to take people at this point, people who are coming out of incarceration, people who are dealing with sobriety issues and addiction, and people who are um, dealing with the gang activity and sort of coming out of that gang lifestyle. And we're taking all those are our three key groups that we work with. So it's inmates, gang activity, and the people coming out of addiction and dealing with that. So that's our main focus there. And the goal is to care for the whole person, body, mind, and soul. So the primary thing is we want to plug them into churches where they can form new relationships and new connections there. Maybe they can get job stuff through that, or housing help, that sort of thing. But we care for the whole person. So we connect with other organizations that do. housing or jobs or those kind of things to make sure that we're getting those people set and then plugging them into a church where they can kind of have a new life, a new circle of friends and new connections. So that's the mission that we have. Um, the team is so we have a small group of full-time employees, a handful of part-time, and then tons of volunteers. So it's
Sure.
mostly volunteer-driven, really. We've moved into a point at this juncture where our volunteers are people who've come up through the program,
How
who've
cool.
been part of the ministry and the organization. So they are now really driving it. So I'm taking more and more of a back seat as I go for these people
That's
to.
just good leadership, my friend,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the idea.
I love
Yeah.
it. So tell me about the breadth and the scope of the work you're doing. Is it mostly one jail, a couple of neighborhoods, one area, or is it across the Chicagoland area? Or do you hope to grow beyond that? Where are you right now?
Well, so in Chicago, our main focus in terms of the prison ministry stuff is Cook County Jail, the
Yep.
county in which Chicago sits.
And that's I'm guessing that's a big facility. There's plenty of work to do there.
It's 14, 15 buildings with
Wow.
about 1,000 inmates in each. And those are people awaiting trial. They haven't been convicted of anything.
Yeah, that's not prison. That's in jail, right?
That's jail, Cook County Jail. That's right. And so,
What's
so we work
the total count a rough count of people that are incarcerated there or in jail there?
probably, I wouldn't know at the moment, but probably 30 to 40,000 at any given time.
That's a city.
Yeah, you've got within that, you have that is costing our state per each inmate $30,000 to $40,000 a year each.
Yeah,
So
unbelievable.
if I can keep just a handful of guys out of jail, I'm saving hundreds of thousands of dollars to taxpayers, and obviously we're doing a lot more than that. So yeah, you're able to make a big impact on your community just by keeping that from happening. And our recidivism rate, that is the rate of people who are incarcerated and then become reincarcerated, is around 90%. So it's not functioning as a deterrent
Yeah.
in any way.
You,
So
but
breaking that cycle is
do
the
you
whole
have
thing.
any metrics or even an idea of what is your recidivism rate of people that are in your programs of Mission USA that have been
Yeah,
incarcerated?
it's hard to measure, obviously,
Yeah.
because you're
You lose
not
track of
keeping track
people.
with them
Yeah.
for life.
Yeah.
But we do better than 90%. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dramatically lower. But of course, we're putting a lot of work into that. We're
Sure.
drawing a lot of connections and
Yeah.
bringing the larger community into that and helping
Yeah.
them on a larger scale.
That's great. I noticed on your website, missionusa.com, at the top of the page it says impact 1,150 consecutive Tuesday night meetings since
Yes,
2004. We've
yes,
never missed a Tuesday. Tell us about
that's
that.
right. Well, last Tuesday
And by the
we
way,
had.
Glenn, it's Tuesday today, so don't let this be
Yes,
the first one. Okay, good, good.
we're there's no chance.
They're good. Okay.
Last week we weren't sure our toilets were going to be working. We rent a space, so I should stipulate that. We weren't sure the toilets were going to be working. We had a massive hailstorm, thunder, lightning, flooding, tornado warning, and we had a full house last week.
Wow.
We were all there. So
Wow.
nothing stops it. And part of that is you're sort of promoting it, so to speak, behind bars to inmates. So when you get out, come to the service, and they would always ask us, like, "Are you for sure going to still be going when we get out?" So we just established the bridge happens no matter what. It just nothing ever stops it. So
And
that way people could
you've been at
rely
the
on it.
same location for a long time now.
Oh no, we're in our fifth different spot. We just we rent at one spot or another until that
The
doesn't
people
work
know
anymore.
Tuesday nights, rain, hail, shine, whatever, it's happening.
It is nothing stops it. Absolutely nothing.
That's great.
Yeah.
So this meeting, tell me more about the meeting. This I'm guessing this is one of your main outreach programs, is this Tuesday
Yes.
night thing.
Yeah, everything feeds into the bridge. So we do, jail outreach stuff. We do craft night at women's rehab facilities, drug rehab facilities, but it all feeds into Tuesday nights. So every Tuesday we have a meeting, and we send vans out to those residential drug rehabs. So they pile in a van, they come to our meeting spot. We usually have 60, 50 people there, somewhere in that range. Each week we invite three different pastors to come and preach, and they each get 10 minutes. And these three pastors are from a stable of pastors, a group of pastors that we've handpicked.
But you
We
kind of
go and
vetted,
visit
you
the
vetted
churches.
those. They know you, you know them, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we visit about 10 churches for every one that we pick. So
sure.
this is the elite of the elite,
Yeah, sure. That's great.
Can't go wrong with any of these choices. And we're really looking at how do they, where's their heart to help.
It's not just a theological validation. It is theological, doctrinal, but then also like, how do you care for people? Do you know how to care for people that have real needs? Folks that are homeless or addicted to, or coming out of addiction, or yeah, some churches don't know how to do that.
That's right. And we found so many sweet little neighborhood churches with grandmas with big hearts and pastors with big hearts that they, as you say, they may not know all the ins and outs of the jobs and housing and all of that, but we handle that for them. We just say, let me plug this guy in here and just love on him. That's all we need. And then that person knows the neighborhood and can help them reach that neighborhood, so everybody benefits from it. But so we have three different pastors. They're only given 10 minutes apiece, so they have to really get on it. And they have to preach on a topic that's been chosen by one of our people. So they write down what they struggle with, they put it in a box, and then the pastors have to preach on that. So it's always relevant in terms of that. It's a challenge for some of them. They're not used to that,
Yeah,
but
I've heard somebody say like, if you want to, if you give me an hour to teach, I'm ready right now. If you give me
right.
30 minutes to teach, I need a number of hours to prepare. If you give me 10 minutes
Yeah.
to teach, I need a couple days to prepare for that because I got to get it
Right.
all
Yeah.
into those 10 minutes. So yeah,
Yeah.
I hear what you're doing. That's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of these are, super heavy struggles that people have, but what you get at the end of that process is you get three different slam dunk amazing pastors, all giving you a different perspective. So what we wanted to create is sort of a buffet of choices that whatever it is you're looking for, you'll find it here. One of these pastors will click with you.
Yeah. Um, so tell me more. I know on your website, you guys have a faith, a Christian background, a Christian
Hmm.
worldview. You're
Hmm.
teaching the teachings of script of the Bible, the New and the
Hmm.
Old Testament. Um, is a solution for the guys, the men and women that are coming into your programs? Is it, hey, we're gonna generally help you in life, and there's a person named Jesus we'd love for you to know about, or is it like, hey, here, this is a solution. Christ is the way. Like, tell me about your religious drive and your convictions and how you communicate those in the right way to the people in your programs.
Yeah, I think it is. As I mentioned, we're caring for the whole person. So we want to talk about your feelings as much as your spiritual struggles or whatever, because they're all it's all one thing. It's all knotted up together. So we're gonna unravel the whole ball. We're gonna talk about you want to not be in this rehab anymore, and you have a lot of feelings about that, and you need some strength from your higher power to make this 12-step thing work. So we're going to cover all those bases. We're going there. We're getting into all the messiness and all the ins and outs of it, and we're trying to do that fearlessly to encourage them to like, we can do this. Let's just take it on. But I think it's also, a lot of my job is coaching those pastors on how to do this stuff. And one of the things I tell them is, I want you to stop using the word ministry with me. I want you to just trade out the word help and
Okay.
and talk about help instead, because ministry can mean anything.
Yeah.
I want you to think in
The
terms
ministry
of,
of education. The ministry,
yeah,
like, yeah, pick it. Yeah.
help is help. You know what help is. So if you picture somebody's in a burning building and somebody comes with a ladder, that's help. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter that that's not a professional firefighter. It doesn't matter. Maybe that's not even his ladder.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, he's just there, and so that's our focus is whatever help you need, we're going to make sure we provide that for you.
I love it. So, what are some of the challenges you face? I mean, you're leading a group of volunteers, a group of staff, leading a lot of people that have every person that you're serving has a story, a big story, and a lot of them have high highs and low lows, as we all do. But what are some challenges that you face consistently? You're leading an organization. What are the challenges?
It's time and money always. There's only so many hours in the day for all these people who have all these struggles. But it's one of those things, if you invest enough time in this person, they not only get themselves together, they're able to help you get somebody else together. That's a pretty heavy time commitment, but it can sort of go exponential in that sort of way. But in order to have that much time, you have to have money to hire the staff to invest the time to, you see what I'm saying? So it's always time and money. Uh,
Where does most of your funding come from?
so traditionally, it's all been individual donors.
Okay.
Just for years and years, super stable. People who love the work we do, just giving from their pockets and stuff. The problem with that is we wanted to be able to hire people who come up through the program. They're volunteering for us for a while now, and now we're thinking let's get these guys in part-time spots or even full-time spots. And they're not able to go out and do that kind of fundraising
Sure.
because they're
They don't have a
from.
network.
So we're moving now into grant writing and all that type of stuff. And I've just finished producing a book that we normally use. We have training that we normally use with our staff. So we've sort of expanded that out
Yeah.
into a book so people who want to do this work can access that. And then that's hopefully going to bring in resources
Yeah.
to keep things going.
Yeah. Where do you hope you and the organization are in 10 years?
Oh, wow. I what I really hope is that we can continue down this road of bringing people up through the program and them taking ownership and just a place where I'm a very distant background figure
Yeah.
and they are doing it and running it, and that's it's their thing and they know what to do with that, and I'm just keeping it from wandering into the ditch.
Yeah. It's a great spot to be in. That's the wisdom seat, right? Not the operation seat, that's the wisdom seat. I've talked to lots of people on this podcast that are new in the nonprofit space, have started something in the last few years. You started something 30 years ago, which is awesome. Give us some of the wisdom seat from a founder from decades ago that is continuing to run the organization that you founded. How would you encourage a person that is considering starting the journey of launching a nonprofit?
I think the big myth is that it's like baking a cake. You put all the right ingredients, and then you get a cake, and it's great. And that's not been my experience. My experience is look for every opportunity to pull on every thread. It's grinding it. It's working every connection. One of the stories I put in the book, just as sort of an example of this, I'm talking to a gang leader inside a Cook County jail, and it's going fairly well, but he's kind of distracted as we're sitting there talking. And there's a window; it's kind of a elevated window, and he's kind of looking up and out of this window, kind of wistfully, and the snow is coming down. And I kind of saw him, focus more on that than my amazing insights.
Huh.
And I asked him, what is it about the snow? And he says, well, I always, no matter what, would shovel my mother's steps, and so she wouldn't slip and fall in the snow. And I'm in here, and there's nobody to do that for her. So earlier in our conversation, I knew where he lived and I knew where his mom's house was. So we just wrapped up the conversation. I got in my truck. I drove over to his house, got my shovel out, and just shoveled out her steps. Took me maybe 5 minutes maximum. She was looking out the window, I'm sure, wondering what this strange white dude was. It was shoveling her snow. But eventually, they ended up talking on the phone, the mother and the son, and he worked out that I had done that. So the next time that I came to that prison unit, all the chairs were set up in a row. Everyone's just sitting there ready for the message. They just go ahead and preach to us. If you're that guy, we want to hear it from you. So if you look for those opportunities, they're everywhere. You have to have a bit of that servant's mentality. But my thought, my takeaway on that story is you're never going to get that much done with that small of an amount of effort. But it's having a heart to look for that and make the most of every opportunity.
That's great. So you find yourself. That's incredible, Glenn. I love that story. That changed my day to day. That's for sure. Um, you find yourself leading a nonprofit, a ministry, a work, helping people, but it's also a business. You also have payroll to process and websites to update and donor letters to send out. Like, how do you navigate the impact and the mission of what you're doing with the monotonous work that is landing on your plate all day, every day?
Yeah, well, I don't do it well, probably would be this honest answer. But I part of what we try to do is kind of compartmentalize that a bit to where I'm working on that. We have a part-time bookkeeper that helps us, and I have a board, and then we work on that stuff with the board. And I give everybody else does the fun stuff. And I've already done all the fun stuff. I've had the amazing adventures with shoveling the snow. I've already done that. So I think it's about finding ways of making sure that we're compartmentalizing that. We're making sure that people who are doing tough work in very tough, challenging situations, trying to solve tough problems, that they can put their focus on that,
Yeah,
and I can give them the tools that they need to do that job. So that's my focus.
yeah, that's great. The company that I work with, that I own, Accordis, that's so that we do. So for you, Glenn, for others out there that are watching this podcast, as you're leading a great organization, a nonprofit that's making an impact, when that stuff lands in your plate, know that there's another option. Also, sometimes you may say, let's get the payroll off our plate. Let's have someone else handle accounting, marketing, database. Reach out to us at the end of this podcast. You'll see a link to Glenn's missionusa.com website. Glenn, I'll also get a link from you. What's the best place people could buy your book or get access to the book that you've written?
You can check out the website. The book is forthcoming. It will be available soon, and will be available where you buy books. But we'll put it on the website when that launches and
That's
let
great. It'll
people
be a
know.
banner across the site or some way to get the book on your website. That's great.
For sure,
Are
for
you
sure.
telling people what the title of the book is yet, or do you not know the title of the book? Or are you willing to share the title of the book?
This actually, this is breaking news. I don't
Oh,
think I've
goodness.
shared it
Headline news coming across the top.
yeah. It's entitled "More Church Than Church."
More church than church.
It's the idea that I'm going behind bars and I'm doing chapel services, and this thing is more like church than any church I've ever been to. The power, the just the zeal, the fun, the engagement, all of it, just the fellowship, the warmth. We, really quick as we're wrapping up,
I want to hear.
we had an instance a little while back. We were at Cook County Jail, and there was a problem. We couldn't leave because they were transporting prisoners to this space, and we weren't able to do it. And so we'd wrapped up chapel service, and we're trying to walk out, and then we're kind of stuck in there with these guys. And the guys said, "Look, we have no way to give you like an offering plate. But what we can do is we have these worship songs that we have written, and so we would like to do that for you." So we just stood there, and they got in a circle around us and sang as their offering to us. And it was the most moving thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And I've never had anything like that happen to me in church. So it's just sort of that idea of we can have that. I think some people say I'm spiritual but not religious, and I think I've lived that out in those kinds of experiences. It's very spiritually moving,
Mm.
but it's in the middle of a jailhouse. We're
No.
not in church with that.
There's no stained glass. There's no crosses hanging over the whatever.
That's right. That's
Wow.
right. Yeah.
How neat, Glenn. Man, it's been so encouraging to talk to you today. We'll put
Thanks.
links to your website on there, and more Church Than Church will be coming out sometime in the future, and I look forward to getting a copy of that myself or reading that. And if
Great.
anyone out there is interested in what Accordis does for nonprofits, accordis.com is our website. We'll put that in the show notes also. Glenn, thank you for your time today. So great to hear your story and a little bit about Mission USA.
My pleasure.
All right, blessings. Thank you.